Tonight, we're peeling back the curtain on a story the music industry has tried to keep under wraps for nearly 2 years. In April 2026, a name we all thought had faded into the archives of child prodigy history suddenly dominated the headlines. Angelina Jordan, the girl with the voice of a century, didn't just return to the stage, she reappeared with a defiance that has left major labels scrambling for damage control. But why did she disappear at the height of her fame, and what did she discover behind the closed doors of Hollywood that made her walk away from a multi-million-dollar future? This is the untold story of a comeback that wasn't just a return, but a declaration of war against the status quo. We've uncovered internal memos that suggest her departure from Republic Records was far more aggressive than a simple creative difference. For years, the narrative was that Angelina was the golden child of the industry, but as 2026 began, accusations surfaced regarding the restrictive nature of her previous contracts. Sources close to the singer suggest that the label was attempting to force her into a highly synthesized, electronic pop image that would have completely erased the soulful, vintage identity fans fell in love with. It had been whispered in industry circles that she felt trapped by a system that prioritized TikTok trends over timeless vocals. When she finally made the move to sever ties, the legal SHT storm was allegedly massive. While no official lawsuits were filed in the public record, the legal issues regarding her masters and her right to perform her own songs kept her in a state of professional limbo. Many expected her to crumble under the weight of these corporate giants, but instead, she chose a path that would ultimately bankrupt the traditional label model. She didn't just leave, she essentially offed her own mainstream career to save her artistic soul, a move that many insiders deemed professional suicide at the time. Yet, as we look at the charts today, it appears she was playing a much longer game than anyone realized. The mystery of her 2025 disappearance during the Eurovision season can finally be linked to a calculated media blackout. For months, the European press was in a frenzy, questioning why Norway's most famous export was nowhere to be found during the continent's biggest musical event. Rumors of a health crisis or a personal breakdown began to flood social media, with some even speculating she had ODD on the pressures of fame. However, our investigation suggests that this period of silence was actually a strategic move to bypass a gag order imposed by her former associates. By staying completely silent, she prevented the industry from using her image to promote projects she no longer believed in. This ghosting of the public eye was a dangerous gamble. In an era where out of sight means out of mind, Angelina's team banked on the idea that her absence would create a vacuum of demand. It was a period of intense speculation, where every deleted Instagram post was analyzed like a crime scene. While the world was looking for her on a stage in Switzerland, she was actually thousands of miles away, quietly renegotiating her entire future. This wasn't a girl who had lost her way. It was a woman who was taking her power back in the most silent, lethal way possible. But the silence was about to be broken by a sound no one saw coming. While the major labels were busy trying to replace her, Angelina was quietly selling out a residency that technically didn't exist on the mainstream radar. In early 2026, reports began to trickle in from Las Vegas about a hidden show at the Westgate International Theater. Without a single billboard on the strip or a promotional spot on national television, the venue began seeing unprecedented foot traffic. This was the birth of the Secret of the Soul residency. It was a masterclass in grassroots marketing. Instead of paying for expensive ad slots, Angelina used a private mailing list and encrypted fan forums to announce her performances. This bypassed the gatekeepers entirely. The shocking part of this success wasn't just the attendance but the demographic. People were flying in from all over the globe, desperate to witness the raw, unedited version of Jordan that the labels had tried to suppress. Critics who attended the early shows described an atmosphere that felt more like a revival than a concert. By keeping the ticket sales in-house, she managed to avoid the massive fees and accusations of price gouging that have plagued other major pop stars recently. She was proving that the manufactured hype of a label was nothing compared to the genuine connection of a loyal fanbase. And what happened next would send shockwaves through the boardrooms of every major record company in the world. The Jordan blueprint is now being studied by every major artist in the industry as a way to expose the predatory nature of standard music contracts. We took a look at the projected earnings for the 2026 Secret of the Soul run, and the numbers are staggering. By owning 100% of her masters and controlling her own distribution, Angelina is reportedly taking home nearly 80% of every dollar earned. Compare that to the standard 10% to 15% that most A-list stars receive after the label takes its cut, and you realize why the industry is terrified. She has effectively exposed the fact that a global career can be maintained without a corporate middleman. This financial rebellion has sparked controversies within the Union of Music Producers, with many fearing that her success will lead to a mass exodus of talent from major labels. There are even whispers that legal threats were made against platforms that allowed her to stream her music independently, though these accusations surfaced without much public evidence to back them up. She isn't just a singer anymore, she's a case study in digital age independence. She has shown that in 2026 your reach isn't determined by a marketing budget but by the DMN soul you put into the work. But as her bank account grew, so did the target on her back. A leaked memo from a high-ranking Academy member suggests there was a coordinated effort to gatekeep Angelina from the 2026 Grammy nominations. As the most successful independent artist of the year, she was the obvious choice for Album of the Year and Best New Artist. However, when the shortlists were discussed, her name was suspiciously absent from several key categories. This led to a shocking outcry from fans and fellow musicians alike, with the hashtag #justice for Angelina trending for weeks. The controversy stems from the idea that the Big Four categories are reserved for those who play by the industry's rules. By refusing to sign a traditional deal, she had effectively become an outsider to the very people who hand out the trophies. Rumors of voter intimidation and backroom deals have surfaced, suggesting that major labels pressured the Academy to ignore her success to prevent her from becoming the face of the independent movement. This gatekeeping hasn't slowed her down, though. If anything, it has solidified her status as a martyr for artistic freedom. The revealed truth is that a trophy matters very little when you already have the hearts of the public. But with this much tension, her safety started to become a major talking point in the press. The recent increase in her personal security detail has led to shocking speculation about who, exactly, she is hiding from. In the latter half of 2026, Angelina has become almost a recluse outside of her scheduled performances. She travels in a motorcade that rivals a head of state, and her public appearances are strictly controlled. Some fans worry that she is offing her public persona due to threats from deranged individuals, while accusations have been made that she is simply being divish. However, those in her inner circle suggest the reality is much more sobering. When you disrupt a billion-dollar industry, you make powerful enemies. The strategic mystery she maintains isn't just about branding, it's about survival in a world that doesn't like rebels. She has built a wall between herself and the SHT that comes with fame, choosing to let her music speak for her instead. This level of privacy is unheard of in the age of oversharing, making every rare glimpse of her feel like a historical event. She has become the Greta Garbo of the Gen Z era, a woman who wants to be left alone so she can focus on the only thing that matters, the art. As we look back at the whirlwind that was April 2026, it's clear that Angelina Jordan is no longer just a prodigy or a talent show winner. She has become a symbol of what happens when a person refuses to be a product. Whether she's being gatekept from awards or exposed for her radical business moves, she remains unmoved. She's proven that you don't need a crown to be a queen, and you don't need a label to be a legend. The industry tried to write her story for her, but in the end, she was the one holding the pen. As we move further into this new era of music, one has to wonder, how many other artists are currently sitting in a room somewhere watching Angelina and realizing they have the power to walk away too? The revolution didn't start with a protest, it started with a song.